Hi, I'm Robbie.
And I'm Anna, production interns at FinTech TV, summer class of 2026. And you're watching Taking Stock.
2 minutes to go here into the closing bell on this incredible afternoon of Thursday, July 2nd. This is no average show and no average day down here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Welcome one and all to this very historic broadcast of Taking Stock. I'm your host today, JD Durkin, here in celebration of America 250, the 4th of July holiday, and so much more. Who better to get his take on what happened with the markets today than the great Peter Tuchman.
Happy birthday, America. Let's go.
What did you see here for the markets? Relatively flat price action to the close, but overall, your take on the day?
Look, it was a hard day to really break down. We had a lot of volume, we were big to buy, we were big to sell all throughout the afternoon. So there's a lot of rotation, continuation on the rotation is the best I got. I think we opened up on the jobs report, and then I think a lot of the memory stocks sort of took us down. And I try to overanalyze that. I don't think so. I think what we're seeing is a lot of the bigger players, like mutual funds and hedge funds that used to be buy and hold, are now actually trading the market. I think that's what's happening, because you're seeing these days where you open up and sell off. These moves, when you see a stock go down 14%, but it's up 40 in the last week, you can't say they're having a bad day, right? This is a good day.
Absolutely is.
Look at this is a good day. Let's look at the nooks and crannies.
It's a great day and a great holiday. Peter Tuchman,
day.
thank you for being here. It is
It's
time
working.
now for the closing bell. Hey. And there you have, listen, when you host a show like this and you got a crowd like this today, you know when to keep quiet and let the crowd do the work. Your final tail of the tape on this Thursday, July 2nd, ahead of the 3-day 4th of July holiday. The S&P 500 negative territory just fractionally. The Dow, however, surging once again on the session to a fresh all-time high in positive territory, 1.1%. The New York Stock Exchange Composite Index having a strong tape, up 0.9, and the small caps, the Russell 2000, in the red, 0.5%. Let's bring in our first guest of the broadcast, our good friend Eric Criscolo, market strategist here at the big board. My man, I mean, what a day. Look at all this.
What a closing bell.
I mean, you and I have been here for thousands of closing bells. Never quite seen anything like this. Grateful for you to here to kick off the show with us today.
Happy to be here, especially in front of this amazing crowd on this almost July 4th. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's an incredible weekend here in New York and across the country. Let me get your take first and foremost. Jobs report, lighter than expected, 57,000. That's the top line print. Unemployment falling down, however, to 4.2%, maybe something in this report for everyone. Are you surprised with the market's reaction, especially this midday reversal for the S&P from green to red?
Yeah, I mean, it was a weaker jobs report, still showing job gains, but definitely coming down from where we were before. Previous months were revised lower as well. So it definitely was not a strong jobs report, but, overall you saw that yields came down, especially the 2-year yields. So maybe people taking off, going from 2 rate hikes, maybe 1 rate hike, we'll see. But, I don't think it really changes the calculus for the Fed just yet. We still have to wait and see what the task forces that Warsh is going to kind of send out, what they have to report back. But, I just think that it still shows that the labor market is relatively okay, that the economy is doing relatively well. And what we're seeing in the stock market, though, is violent rotations and complete changes in what investors are flowing into and out of.
So let's talk about some of that rotation, because for many years, of course, the heavy lifters were the so-called Magnificent Seven tech stocks. Maybe now a little bit more like the Lag 7. We are seeing rotation into other parts of the S&P 500 that are more inclined to do the heavy lifting. Hey, we're still basically at all-time highs, maybe not necessarily led by the same names that got us here.
Yeah, this was an interesting week because it was, the end of June into July. It was the end of 2Q into 3Q. It was the end of first half and the second half. So you saw pretty much like right at that line of demarcation, things changed where the semiconductor names, the memory names, the DRAM ETF, which led up until that point, sold off very quickly July 1st, July 2nd. And then you saw some of those hyperscalers, the big names, the Amazon, the Alphabets, the Meta, just ripped higher this week. And so they had lagged earlier. People were worried about they were spending so much money on CapEx, hundreds of billions of dollars. And now, a bunch of news flow coming out, Meta may be selling some of that excess compute. That kind of helped the hyperscalers. You saw the other names sell off. Micron in particular is like the flagship for that name. So a lot of reversals. Healthcare saw a bid.
Oh, yeah.
So things are kind of switching from where they were just a couple of weeks ago. Investors locking in gains wouldn't be surprising. Kind of searching for what has lagged. Maybe put money to work in those names now.
Yeah, we had a fair bit of profit taken in the quantum, the memory names, some of these high flying, the high beta names. And you take a look ahead to the calendar upcoming, kind of a quiet week. I think you and I would agree here on Wall Street in terms of economic data, but then very soon after that, I feel like as soon as we finish one earnings season, we look around, we're like, wait a minute, the big banks are reporting already? Maybe next week, not a whole lot going on to trade on with regards to volume, but what else is on your radar coming up for July?
Yeah, no, that like you said, it's going to be a setup week, next week. I mean, who knows what happens, but pretty quiet on the calendar, not much economic data, big lull in earnings. Week after, like you said, the mega cap banks start reporting. That's going to be obviously really, really well read as far as what are they saying about the consumer, what are they saying about credit conditions, what are they saying about loans. Probably not going to deviate much, but we're going to have to listen to what they say. The commentary, very important. And that's really going to be where the focus is, especially with that lull next week.
Most important question I'm going to ask you, any big plans for the 4th of July?
I am going to be using my my neighbor's pools, hopefully.
Yes.
Because we don't have one, but I got 2 young kids, and it's going to be really hot tomorrow, just like it was today.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do.
It's hot down here on the trading floor as well. My man, thank you for being here as always. Enjoy the happy 4th.
Always a pleasure. Happy 4th. This is amazing. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. All right, we'll bring our viewers here. The latest Polymarket odds. I'm going to try and get through this crowd best I can. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Latest Polymarket odds for the event contract, trying to answer the question, who will be the winner of the World Cup? More than $3 billion in total trade volume right now after a huge 3-0 win. Hello, everyone. Over Sweden in the round of 32. France remains the odds-on favorite. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Thank you all for being here. Argentina next up at 18%. Spain at 10%. England, after their big comeback win, now sits down at 8%, followed then by Portugal. They play Croatia tonight. Brazil, Mexico, the United States of America, 3% odds to become champions of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The USA's next match, Monday, 8 p.m. against Belgium. We'll take a look at one stock that calls the New York Stock Exchange its home, and it had a nice tape today. It shares of Eli Lilly, healthcare biotech giant, up 1.8%, just about at their all-time highs, and that pushes XLV, the popular healthcare ETF, to new all-time highs as well. Healthcare stocks, the strongest of the bunch today here on Wall Street. But one of the weaker sectors so far this year, year to date, shares of LLY up almost 1.9% on this trading Thursday, but up 12% here in 2026. Yesterday, FinTech TV's very own lead anchor, Remy Blair, sat down with Dan Noveus of Mode Inc. They discussed AI investing, crowdfunding, and their new humanoid robots. Take a look.
Well, here to break down AI funding along with a humanoid robot is Dan Noveus, CEO and co-founder of Mode Inc. Dan, great to have you at the Exchange. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Well, we all know that artificial intelligence as a theme in terms of investing as well as technology has been in the spotlight in 2026. But when we're talking about training for AI, what does this mean? And what about privacy?
Yeah, so all great questions. Well, first and foremost, on the training side, so there's 3 major things that you need for an AI model to work, right? There's compute, there's the algorithm, and then there's the human data part. That third part is the most important part, and essentially these AI labs have essentially sucked up the internet from the last 20 years, and they need now a lot of refinement to those models. So this creates a really nice opportunity for consented data. So this really ties into that privacy idea, because essentially people can get paid for being able to help train this next generation of AI, and essentially that allows them to not get necessarily displaced by AI, but be part of that economy, right? And we see that as a multi-trillion-dollar human data market that consumers can take advantage of just by everyday tasks, essentially.
Yeah, so I do want to expand on that. Right here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, we do have your robot here, this humanoid robot. So when we're talking about human data training, what do you mean? Because all of us, we might use an LLM, we might be on ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. So what does it mean?
Yeah, so this little ModeBot here, we partnered with a company, and if you think about like the future generation of robots are going to be, what are they going to be doing? They're going to be doing household tasks. They're going to be doing these things at our home. And right now, they need to be trained on how to do that appropriately. So, this thing does a lot of really cool things, but it's not quite there yet when it comes to folding your laundry, doing chores, picking up like a dog poo bag. And so the opportunity is, in order how you can train that is by taking content and videos. So people can use their smartphones simply by doing everyday household chores. This is the same thing that's happening in the AI space for the Geminis and the OpenAIs of the world to get like an agent made, So these labs need refinement data, and that means necessarily new data. And so one of the things that we're really focused on is really allowing those consumers to get rewarded for doing that, and that will ultimately help build this next generation of robots, and people can make thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a year by taking part of this movement.
So Dan, two things I want to ask you where we are in terms of the timeline, but also when we're talking about training these robots, can you actually walk us through what happens in the whole process?
Yeah, so there's various ways to go about it. There's companies like manufacturing companies right now where people are literally taking these little prompters on their head, right, these gloves that you can kind of feel, so that essentially that then goes into an algorithm so it can learn essentially, and the model refines itself, like what is good, what is bad. It's called refinement learning. The way that we're really focused on it is by allowing consumers to do that, even through their smartphones, right? Because not everyone's going to be at a manufacturing house and so on. Once we get that data, we then pass that to those frontier labs, those robotic companies, and then they essentially, with their AI researchers, improve those models over time, and then you will see a constant improvement. Just how you saw, ChatGPT 4 is drastically different than the ChatGPT that we have today, and that's constantly moving at this speed of the fastest space I've ever seen in my life, much faster than crypto or anything before,
Yeah, and Dan, when we're talking about some of the tasks that you mentioned for this humanoid robot that's on the floor right next to us, it might be doing dishes or folding laundry, taking the dog out for a walk when it's super hot outside or freezing. So how far away are we before the consumer might be able to purchase one of these humanoid robots?
Well, there's several companies out there that are already having robots that are actually about to come to market. You could buy this Unitree robot right now. It's more of like, I would say, a nice to have, as opposed to a lot of it right now is really focused on training. There are certain companies like Amazon that are using like the robotic dogs to kind of map the perimeter because it has good sensors and stuff. So I think we're probably at least another 5 to 10 years away where you're going to see robots really in every like kind of household, at least like higher end household. And I think that 15 years from now, everyone is going to have one of these. It might be a little bit sooner, but in the meantime, there's still a lot of data that really needs to be inputted into these models to get there, both on the AI agent side and on the robotic side as well.
And Dan, for viewers out there who might not be as familiar with some of these AI data labs, where are they and what is the market opportunity right now?
Well, this is the biggest arms race in history, right? So these frontier labs are trillion-dollar companies, they're haven't gone public yet, but they will soon. And at this moment in time, they're all racing to essentially have the best models out there. So this opportunity is really interesting because one, like in the software era, all this data was taken essentially from these platforms, and Anthropic and these companies were sued by the Wall Street Journal and all these major data providers, and now consumers can essentially take advantage of being able to provide consented data and part of that economy, right, being a part of that. So, this is one of the biggest movements. This is like since the Industrial Revolution, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for joining us and for also bringing your humanoid to the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Thank you.
I
appreciate it.
Welcome back to this very special edition of Taking Stock live from the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. It is now my honor and my privilege to welcome Admiral Daryl Caudle, U.S. Chief of Naval Operations, to the trading floor of the big board and on to today's broadcast. Sir, what an honor. Thank you for taking some time for us here today.
JD, it's my pleasure. What an honor. What a great day.
There's so much to ask you about. First and foremost, the opportunity to ring the closing bell ahead of such an incredible weekend, not just the 4th of July, which is always a reason to celebrate, but America 250. What did the moment mean for you here, sir?
Well, this is such such a foundational and iconic spot in New York, and the Navy has such a relationship with New York. It's great to be back, and I just cannot be more proud. You know, we got over 50 countries represented in this International Naval Review to celebrate with us and to honor our birthday. And you're going to get 30 warships, 44 tall ships, so it's just an incredible way to celebrate the 4th.
Yeah, this may be a really tough answer for you. Do you have a favorite part of the upcoming weekend you're looking forward to? We got the Class B tall ships, we'll have flyovers, we got the East River, the Hudson River. It is jam-packed for New Yorkers over the next 72 hours plus. Something in particular you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to hosting the Vice President of the United States on board the USS Kearsarge with the Acting Secretary of the Navy, and allowing him to see all these countries in a parade and review in the Hudson pass honors to the United States Navy. It's going to be a special day.
But moments before you and I came back for the broadcast, you and I noticed we have a gentleman behind us, a World War II veteran. This training floor right now is packed with men and women in uniform. Many of them are veterans. What goes through your heart and mind, sir, on a day like today when you look out, see so many of your colleagues that you've served alongside?
Well, I think I can't lose sight of the fact that it is our Navy that protects our sea lines of communication, ensures a free flow of commerce, and enables this market, this incredible place, the New York Stock Exchange, to do what it does every day. We enable that. And with all the things that are done here, you enable us to have a Navy. So it's this great circle that's just such a magical thing here in our country.
What would you want more Americans to be aware of about what it takes to honor men and women in uniform, their sacrifice, especially the Navy, not just the 4th of July weekend, not just for America's 250, but every day of the year as Americans?
So you're talking less than 1% can qualify to join our armed forces. A smaller percentage join the Navy because that's across the whole joint force. I'd want them to be thankful that they do this voluntarily. They don the cloth of the nation. It's service. They do something that's bigger than themselves, and they decided to actually serve in our armed forces. That's special. It's deserving of their thanks. And when you reach out and you see a veteran, or you see somebody in active duty, I think it's a tribute to come out and thank them for it.
Can you talk to me a bit about the significance of shipbuilding, both today as well as for the future of the U.S. Navy, Admiral?
I'm in a great period of time being the Chief of Naval Operations. In a 40-year career, I've never seen the administration, Congress, and the American people all behind getting a bigger fleet for our Navy and shipbuilding being such a priority. Lots of money flowing into that industry, lots of work with foreign partners to help us with that as well. And so it's just a generational time for us to get behind the shipbuilding industry, really the whole defense industrial base. So it's really a pleasure to be part of something so special.
And it's really an honor and a pleasure to welcome you down here, not only onto the broadcast I am lucky enough to host every day down here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange, but here, a part of our NYSC community, Admiral Daryl Caudle, U.S. Chief of Naval Operations. Sir, what an honor. Take good care of yourself.
Happy birthday, USA.
Hey, happy birthday, USA. We'll be back with a lot more Taking Stock coming up live from the trading floor of the big board right after this. Awesome. Welcome back to the show. Joining me now, Susie Singh, Deputy COO at Securitize. I promise I will. Really nice to have you here. Good to see you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And what a huge day it has been, really a huge week for you and your team.
It has been a huge week.
A company seeking to bring blockchain into the core of capital markets. Talk to me about listing day. Why now?
Why now? Because it's the right time. I mean, what are we talking about every day when we're seeing the media and seeing the news? We're talking about tokenization, something Securitize has been building on for the last 8 years, that we've had a full regulatory stack ready to go.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions you think about the world of tokenization, even from longtime Wall Street voices who might be a bit hesitant or slow to embrace this type of change?
I think it's the comparison that they make with cryptocurrency, and that's not factual, right? Because all we're doing is using tokenization, the infrastructure that's been built for blockchain, as a digital ledger to bring operational efficiency, transparency, settlement periods. It's like an evolution, right? Like you had AOL and dial-ups before, and now we have Wi-Fi that's being able to use everywhere.
What does it take to truly become the blockchain plumbing for Wall Street?
It's, that's a great question. And it's basically, like I said, the digital ledger, right? It's the transparency. It's you as an individual investor being able to see what you hold on-chain in your wallet. You're able to do peer-to-peer transfers. You're able to settle easily. You're able to trade 24/7. It's bringing all of those things using the blockchain technology.
What most excites you personally, I wonder, about where not just the technology is now, but the promises or hope, the ambitions you have for where this underlying, even in just the next few years?
It's the adoption, right? Every day I see new entities, new asset managers, new banks, new players in the market that are all talking about tokenization. And I just feel Securitize is in the best place to do it because we've been doing it and we've built and we're ready to go and take it to the next step. And we're tokenizing the world.
Of course. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're also bringing your own common stock onto the blockchain.
We're not bringing it, we already brought it.
You already brought it, that's true, you already brought it.
We already brought it. Our Securitized common stock, day one, is already issued on-chain, and trading is available too.
That's a big headline maker on the day when people in financial media have written about today's big listing. What more context under the surface would you want the average would-be reader to learn about what that means and why it's such a great differentiator for your company?
So we've been talking about doing IPOs on chain, right? So retail people can get access, and it's not just institutions, it's not just using your brokerage accounts, it's not DTCC holding it in CD & Co. It's you as an individual having it in your own wallet. So as an example, we did it first. We did it with our own stock. We have our common stocks on chain already.
That's amazing. Well, I'm really grateful for your time. Susie Singh is the Deputy COO at Securitize. We got it right up here. Nice opening day, up 4%. Ticker symbol SECZ. It calls the New York Stock Exchange its home. Congratulations on a huge week to you and your team for Securitize. Thanks for chatting with me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, don't go anywhere. A lot more Taking Stock coming up. Right after this. Welcome back to the show. Time now for the latest headlines in the world of fintech, crypto, and artificial intelligence. You need to know as you head into your long holiday weekend. At this hour, the crypto majors. And next up, the Financial Times reporting 5% stake in the company as part of a broader plan to ease regulatory pressure and share AI's economic gains with the public. And finally, World Cup betting. That's a big one, fueling a record month for prediction markets in the month of June. Kalshi and Polymarket posting a combined almost $45 billion last month in trading volume, up 75% from the month of May. And now Scarlett Sieber from Money 2020 is back with a new edition of Hindsight 2020, where she breaks down important dates in financial history. Take a look.
I'm Scarlett Sieber from Money 2020, and this is Hindsight 2020. Let's rewind back to July 2nd, 1997. Thailand devalues its currency. At first, it looks like a local issue, a single market adjusting to pressure. But within months, the shock spreads across Asia. Currencies collapse, capital flees, entire economies are forced into painful adjustments. The lesson here isn't about one country, it's about mismatch. Many economies were borrowing in foreign currencies while earning in local ones. That worked until it didn't. When confidence broke, the structure collapsed. And the speed of that collapse revealed something fundamental. Global capital moves faster than local stability can absorb. Fast forward to today, and the pattern is still relevant. Any system built on mismatches, currency, liquidity, duration, it holds together only as long as the confidence does. The Asian financial crisis wasn't just a regional event. It was a demonstration of how quickly interconnected systems can amplify stress. With that, that is your Hindsight 2020, because when the structure is fragile, it doesn't break slowly. It breaks all at once. And back over to you.
Welcome back to the broadcast. At this hour, we'll get you quickly caught up on a few of the other top market movers in the S&P 500, the Dow, the small caps. You may have missed, given all the, rightfully so, the celebratory chaos, I'll call it, down here on the floor today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closing at an all-time high. Look at that print, 52,900.7. The oil benchmarks moving up on the day, about a clean % each, with gold and silver, the precious metals, moving up as well. In the S&P 500, your strongest performing sectors, healthcare, utilities, and consumer staples, but a bit of sell-side pressure on tech stocks, consumer discretionary, as well as telecom. Over to the Dow we go with a look at our Dow's gainers on this Thursday. Apple, McDonald's, and Boeing far and away the outperformers. Our Dow laggards, Cisco, Caterpillar, and NVIDIA, despite the fact most of the Dow components, most of the 30 of them, were up for the day. To the Mag 7 tech stocks, mixed bag overall. Shares of Apple up about 4%. Shares of Tesla sharply under pressure this morning, down about 7%. Catching a bid elsewhere here on Wall Street today. Oil and energy stocks very well. Most defense and aerospace stocks doing very well ahead of the July 4th weekend, and a fair bit of profit taking, like Eric and I were talking about at the top of today's show. In the world of semiconductors, Marvell shares specifically hardest hit, down 10%. Memory stocks with SanDisk selling off 14%, and Arctic Quantum down 16%, the hardest hit quantum stock on the day. And another Subs officially filing for an IPO earlier today. Right here, JMKE. Tomorrow on Wall Street, absolutely nothing. All the best to you, your loved ones, your family and friends and beyond for an incredible again on Monday.